Call the meeting to order. The pledge of the flag, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which
it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with
liberty
and justice for all.
Thanks, everyone, and thanks Renee and Colleen for coming tonight. Attendance, Sean?
Board Member Aversa,
Here.
Board Member Dean,
Here.
Board Member Kimball,
Here.
Board Member Larkin,
Here.
Chairman Sirianni.
Here. Sean, any presentations?
None scheduled for this evening.
Thank you. Is there any public comments?
One individual signed up to speak prior to the 5 p.m. deadline, Jim Briggs.
Jim?
Good evening, and before I get started with my discussion, I'd like to wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever fits your agenda. I come to speak tonight about the situation that arose due to some changes made at a civil service meeting recently where a person appointed by an elected official went to the meeting and took away the residency requirement to sit for a civil service test. I've spent my career working in Niagara Falls. I represent every industrial site in Niagara Falls. I represent public sector workers, from police officers to parks workers to probation officers, not social service, I'm sorry, but the city hall. Through my labor council, I spent a large part of my career trying to help those that are struggling in this community. And that residency requirement did exactly that. It gave people in this city an opportunity at good paying jobs with good benefits, an opportunity that has exited with the downturn in the industrial climate and everything else in the city, and it's reduced their ability to get these jobs. And I don't really blame the people that are appointed to boards, I blame the people that appoint them, because they're accountable for who they appoint. And when somebody appoints somebody and then they move to take a preferential position where an employee of the water board would have to sit for a test, would have to be from the city, and give them that advantage in a city that struggles with poverty and everything else, it's just fundamentally unfair and incorrect. We've sat here while this has been going on during the term of the last board and seen many people hired who, when they were hired, understood, I would believe, I would hope, that the HR department did their job and told them that you're going to have to move in the city, take a test for this job. Unfortunately, most of those tests, or not all of them, have never been called for. And you've left your employees in provisional positions. You know what that means? Their protection is greatly reduced when it comes to labor issues as a provisional employee. They're almost treated like a probationary employee until they take the test. Section 75 Civil Service Law, 65, I take that back.
75 doesn't apply.
75 will also apply. But the point I'm making is we got to stop doing this to people. We got to treat the people of Niagara Falls with dignity and respect. And I commend this board for the resolution you're going to put on the table tonight to put that back in for civil service jobs that allows these residents the opportunity to come in, be employed, and take a test and improve their quality of life. They deserve it. They live in the city. They pay their bills for everything. They pay the city taxes. They pay the school taxes. They pay the water rates. And it's just damn unfair of what has happened over the past years and what just happened. The people involved should be ashamed of themselves. I'm not here to call anybody out. Anybody has a problem with what I said, I'm easy to get a hold of, call me, okay? Because I don't hide and I don't not tell the truth. This year, my labor council adopted 28 families for Christmas. 18 of those were from the city of Niagara Falls. We need to give opportunity to the people of this city. And I commend you and thank you, and I hope you all support it tonight. Thank you.
Jimmy, thank you for your opinion and thanks. No more public comments, right, Sean?
Correct.
Any letters and communications?
None for this evening.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions on the prior meeting minutes from November 18th?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Sean, roll call?
Board Member Aversa?
Yes.
Board Member Dean?
Yes.
Board Member Kimball?
Yes.
Board Member Larkin?
Abstain.
Chairman Siriani?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Executive Director and General Counsel, Sean Costello, the draft of 2025 budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are no changes to the draft budget that was presented to the board at the last meeting. This draft budget has been publicly available through the posting to our website since before the work session. As previously noted, it does not require a rate increase and makes investments in safety and plant maintenance.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the budget?
Just, maybe Mr. Smith, as far as, cash on hand, we always maintain adequate cash balances to sustain ourselves both daily, monthly, and obviously we have reserves, obviously. I mean, those things happen. We have an aging infrastructure system that we all are aware of. We're good on those lines. Our daily cash available, cash on hand, COH, or whatever you want to call it. We're operating adequately. Okay. That's big.
Is somebody speaking? I can't hear.
No,
No, no one's speaking.
Okay, did Mr. Smith answer the question?
he did.
I
Okay,
just
can he
heard
him
answer-
up to the mic.
Can he answer it so that we could hear it? Because,
Yeah.
yeah, he couldn't hear anything.
I'm sorry. Our cash balances are adequate. They're fairly consistent with balances in previous years. I did prepare a summary of cash balances that should be in the board report, and you can see the comparisons to previous year.
I believe that would have been in the work session packet.
Okay, that's important.
Is there any more questions to Mr. Smith?
No.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Sean, any personnel items?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. At page 50 of the packet is the personnel action sheet for this month. The only change from the work section is a request that the board authorize payment to Clayton Hotchkiss for consulting with John Joyce, just to pass on some knowledge about the SCADA system. Clayton no longer is in the area, but has participated in a few conference calls with vendors and assisted Mr. Joyce, and he has requested that there be authority to pay Clayton for that time. The pay rate or grade that is listed there is Clayton's last pay rate prior to his resignation. And the request would be for up to 8 hours a month, but there's really no expectation that we would even have that many hours in a given month.
And that's a position that is very hard to fill, SCADA, and Sean is trying to fill it. There's a potential candidate, but he hasn't committed yet. So we may need helps from time to time. So is there a motion to do that?
Move it.
I'll second it.
Excuse me, real quick. Are we voting on both of these personnel action items or just one?
Is the board comfortable making a motion to approve the personal action sheet as presented? So both
I'm
are-
not.
I would say both, yes.
I actually have questions.
Well,
Okay, we'll do-
both separately for each one.
Okay,
I actually
Okay.
have questions on the personnel action sheet.
okay, then we'll just
Okay,
vote
but
on
Okay, there's been a motion made in a second, right?
for the SCADA, right? For the SCADA.
For the scatter, well, change the, if you can amend the motion for the personal action sheet so that Colleen can then ask her question. That would be how we'd be able to handle it, since she has a question on a personal action sheet.
Was your motion for just the SCADA or both?
Just a SCADA.
All right.
Now, the motion was just for SCADA.
Okay, so could you amend the motion?
I'm okay. I'm okay with the SCADA. It's line item 1 that I have the question on.
Okay, so yeah, so we need to make a motion to amend the motion so that it would reflect us approving the personnel action sheet so that she could then ask her question. So Ralph.
What I'm
can-
saying is the motion was made just for the
Right.
SCADA guy.
Right, and I'm saying, in order to deal with the whole situation, can that motion be amended so that we can discuss the personnel action sheet?
Okay, then is there a motion to
I'll make a
amend?
motion to amend if that helps everyone. Sure.
Okay, and then, Jim, you second it, right?
The original motion, yes, it's your amendment. Do you want to second it?
No, you go ahead. I don't have to have motions or whatever. You can go
Okay,
ahead.
is there a second?
Well, I'll second it then.
Okay, roll call?
Mr. Chairman, I believe there was a question on the motion.
No.
What-
Now we have a question. Now Colleen can ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead, Colleen.
Mine is regarding line item 1. Well, first of all, I do have a question for Mr. Costello. When did we start putting the names of people to be hired on the PA sheet? In the past, we'd only been approving positions. This is new.
I mean, here we have specific individuals. We're not going and recruiting somebody. We have an individual already.
Okay.
Nothing was intended by putting the names in there. It's not as if we're asking the board for permission to go and recruit for example, a systems engineer. There we have
Okay.
individuals. And also, with respect to the grade 4 license holder, that is a position of considerable responsibility. I think it's appropriate for the board to know the individual that we're proposing to be that person.
Okay. How many hours are you expecting the class 4 operator to work until the other
20.
people are like 20 a week?
Yes, approximately 20 per week.
And after we have a licensed individual, how long?
Well, it will depend on how quickly we get that licensed individual, but I would expect that Mr. Droff could offer some assistance in terms of mentorship even after, and hopefully getting some others to take their tests and pass them even after we have a license in-house. But
Okay.
this is not expected to, be a condition that persists beyond a year or thereabouts, depending on when we get a license in-house.
Okay.
Yeah, we really can't put a timetable on it because we don't know who or when they will pass a test. So we 20 hours a week is a state mandate. And if it goes higher, some of it is, we encouraged him to maybe try to help our guys see what they're doing. Maybe we can help them get a license so we can end this, eventually.
Thank you.
Okay, then
We're
Okay,
voting
vote.
individually, correct? Each one will be voted on individually?
yeah, you can vote on them individually.
The motion on the table is to approve the PA sheet as the whole.
And we second that.
And we second it. So we'll proceed to vote. If there are any more questions on the personnel report? Proceed to vote. Roll call?
Okay. And the motion, again, is to approve the personnel action sheet as a whole. Board Member Aversa,
Yes.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes.
Chairman Siriani.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Engineering, Doug Williamson?
Good evening. I have nothing new to report tonight, but I'm available to answer any questions you may have regarding my O&M.
Is there any questions for Mr. Williamson from anyone?
How did the final inspection go for?
It went pretty
77?
well. There were a few punch list items they had on 77th, but nothing too outstanding. Basically, got to finish little landscaping in the springtime, like some of the grass hasn't taken hold yet.
All right, it's great.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Doug. Information Technology, John Joyce.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Joyce was not available this evening. He and I did speak earlier today. There are no critical vulnerabilities in our cybersecurity scans. And if I may just return one moment to my section on the agenda. Typically, we place outside infrastructure on the agenda, but that's omitted in this case. I would just like to share with the board and to celebrate the fact that today, the outside maintenance crew replaced our 100th fire hydrant of the year. So we have replaced 100 of the fire hydrants, and we have 0 out-of-service fire hydrants at this time.
That is awesome.
That's good. Thank you.
It's a job.
Thank you, the crew out there, the entire crew out there for that.
Thank you.
Excellent report. Thanks.
Finances, Michael Smith.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mike.
Just following up with a few items that were mentioned at the work session last week. Our annual transfer of customer account balances to the city tax roll, that has now been completed, and we can now resume our normal billing and collection activities. We are all up to date with our accounts payable. I am up to date with my SIU billing activities. I do have some exception bills that need to be prepared for various penalties. And I will get those bills out by the end of this week. And then after doing that, from now until the end of the year, I'm going to be focusing on various year-end activities to close out the year and to prepare for the annual audit.
Are there any questions for Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I guess just one, Mike. Where do you stand on the journal entries? Are you up to date on the journal entries?
I am not up to date on journal entries. There's a number of various standard journal entries for account balance transfers that need to be made. I was trying to get all the journal entries prepared for that would affect the income statement so that we could finalize the budget. I think we're in pretty good shape there, but I guess I just have to go back and kind of take inventory of all the journal entries that need to be made and reconcile all the, catch up with the reconciling of the bank accounts and, prepare journal entries for those types of activities.
All right, so it's in your opinion, I mean, how far behind is that?
I could probably be in pretty good shape by the end of this week.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you. Any safety, Sean?
The only item on safety is on Wednesday, a representative of OSEA, which is a safety consulting firm, and a representative from the Niagara Falls Fire Department will be present to review some confined space rescue issues.
You did get the fire department to come, huh?
I was at the community advisory panel meeting today, which involves some leaders in local industry and municipal officials. I had mentioned, we had an ongoing discussion about confined space rescue, and Chief Pachotko heard that I had OSEA coming and said, would you like us to attend? I would never say no. So they will be present as well.
Good. Any questions regarding November 2024 operations and maintenance report? No questions? We'll proceed to resolutions. Sean?
Mr. Chairman, the first resolution is found in the agenda packet at page 51. It is resolution number 2024-12001, hiring preference for City of Niagara Falls residents.
Mr. Chairman, before we vote, can I just ask one question?
Yes.
I'm looking at him. Yes, I
Oh,
should be
yeah.
looking at you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
Just a quick overview of the resolution. Just on the.
Well, you want Sean to do
Or
that?
you, Sean, anybody?
Yeah.
If you should so please, sure. It's not a problem. Just a
So-
quick overview.
In terms of, there were two changes from the version of this presented at the last meeting. The first is in the resolve paragraphs. It makes clear now that it applies to civil service positions. The prior version of the resolution was a bit ambiguous on that score. So now it says that, for civil service positions, there will be a preference for Niagara Falls residents. It requests that the Civil Service Commission certify 2 lists for each examination, one of residents, and then only when the resident list is exhausted would we move on to non-residents. Also added to this resolution is just a brief summary of the business case for hiring residents, which is the third whereas paragraph.
I have some
Okay, so-
questions as well.
All right, so in other words, someone is going to take a civil service test. There's a civil service posting, whatever. They live in Grand Island. Doesn't make any difference. They live outside the city. They come in, they take the test. They pass everything and they secure the position. Then they have to move in the city within 6 months.
No, after further discussion with Board Member Dean, there is no language that requires somebody who is not a resident to move.
That's correct.
Okay, so what we're doing here is we're a city. We just gave a very generous contract out to the United Steelworkers, and I applaud them for that. A lot of people don't know that these aren't the old days anymore. I don't know what it comes to exactly, but if someone's got to pay, what is the percentile of their
It's 20%.
20%? That could equate to about $2.50 an hour, or somewhere in there, depending on if you're working 35 or 40 hours. I'm just talking a flat week. So if someone was making $17 an hour, in essence, they were only making $14.50 when you get right down to it. So when we don't require residency, we're taking away, first of all, I've been a resident of the city for most of my life. I lived away a few years, but basically I've been a resident of the city. I'm going to be 73 years old for 90% of my life. There's no punishment for living in the city of Niagara Falls. We have every type of housing that anybody could ever want, from condominiums, medium price condominiums. We have, 4 condominium projects in Niagara Falls, 1 downtown and 3 in LaSalle, all within a 9-iron if you're a good golfer of one another. We have waterfront living. We have downtown living. We have nice apartments. When we hire people at the level that we're hiring them, most likely they're going to become homeowners, most likely, or condominium owners. And in a sense, with my over 50 years in the real estate business, a renter is actually a homeowner because a renter pays taxes indirectly to the landlord. When you have owner occupancy, I was not a big proponent of facade programs, but I am. But sometimes we do things ready, fire, aim rather than ready, aim, fire. Look at Pine Avenue now. I grew up on Pine Avenue, 16th and Pine. My grandmother built the Hippodrome Theater. Okay. You probably went to when you were a kid. My mom and dad operated it. We keep putting money in facades, but the neighborhoods keep deteriorating. People create the need for services. Services don't create the need for people. If you fix the neighborhoods up, the commercial areas will start to exist again. Home ownership is a big thing, and most of the people that we're going to hire are probably going to buy a home. It's still reasonably inexpensive to buy a home in Niagara Falls compared to anywhere else in New York State. When people move into a neighborhood, they solidify the neighborhood. All of a sudden, the neighborhood has aesthetic value. Owner-occupied homes are most of the time better kept than homes that are not occupied. They start contributing to the area. Niagara Falls is not their city. to not require somebody to live here, I think is against everything that we should be for. And that's the building of our city. We still have a good city wherever you want to live. You can live by a golf course, on the water, anywhere you want. You can live out where I live near Niagara University, anywhere you want. And basically the way I look at it, take the test. If you live outside the city, I wouldn't begrudge anybody that, because that could be your best candidate. Get the job and you got 6 months to move into the city. There is no penalty living in this city, no penalty whatsoever. And that's the way we're going to rebuild our city. And if we don't do that, if we're not setting the example, the school district sets the example, the city sets the example, the housing authority sets the example, why should we be any different? Now, if anybody has an adverse opinion to what I said, I respect that. I respect everyone's opinion as long as you state it the way I did. But I really believe not requiring residency doesn't do anything short-term, or more importantly, long-term, to help the city. That's my opinion, only my opinion.
There any more opinions on that?
I have-
Go ahead.
Who's asking here, Renee or I?
Colleen, I only heard Colleen.
Oh, I think Renee jumped in at the same time.
Oh,
so-
okay.
No, I didn't.
Oh, somebody did. Okay. I do have some questions directing at Sean. As a public benefit organization, we're not considered to be a municipal agency. Is that correct, Sean?
That is correct.
And since 2002, when the New York State Legislature created the Niagara Falls Water Board, there hasn't been a residency requirement.
The Niagara Falls Water Board has not itself had a residency requirement. Correct.
Okay. It is also my understanding that this resolution solely applies just to civil service positions for new hires and for current employees who are considered provisional in that they haven't taken the exam. Is that correct?
Correct.
And am I understanding this correctly? If a current employee who is provisional takes the exam and is now, if they don't live in the city, as is now allowed by the Niagara Falls Civil Service Commission, but a city resident who is not currently employed by the Niagara Falls Water Board also takes the exam, there's a chance that that city resident is going to be hired and replace that current employee. Is that my understanding correctly?
That could happen, yes.
Okay. And at the same time, we currently have a civil service position through Resolution 4 from last year, for which is going through the civil service approval. But I'm still speaking. That is going through the civil service approval process right now. That last week you indicated the person who is being selected for that job is not a city resident. Is that correct, Sean?
That's a promotional position, and promotional positions, even civil service, never required residency to accept a promotional position.
Okay, but how is it as a promotional? He would have had to take a civil service exam. How can somebody who is taking a civil service, who prior didn't take a civil service exam, be promotional?
The individual has taken an open competitive civil service examination, at which time they were, based on civil service rules, required to be a resident of the city of Niagara Falls.
And they were a resident?
At the time they took their open competitive examination, yes.
Okay. Were other
Or
candidates?
civil service waived the requirement. I don't have a history on the rule.
Okay,
or the
and
individual.
how many other candidates were considered for that particular role, and were they city residents?
6 individuals submitted bids for the role. The individual that has not yet formally been selected, but that I anticipate selecting, is the only one that is in the maintenance, or the most senior individual in the maintenance department, which is a necessary attribute for the job because it will be a maintenance supervisor.
Okay. Mr. Casella, you're not a resident of the city of Niagara Falls, are you?
I am not.
And neither are the remaining directors, at least one of the board members, and many other staff members. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And there's nothing on the table to ensure all employees and board members are Niagara Falls residents, as per what Mr. Aversa said regarding it's not a penalty to live in the city of Niagara Falls.
Correct.
Okay, so it's interesting to me that we have a justification for this resolution that's listing all the reasons why water board employees should be residents of the city, paying rates, neighbors, building the community, etc., building trust, all kinds of platitudes. But I'm noticing that this resolution only applies to civil service positions and seemingly only a select few. The fact that we don't have a residency requirement because we're a public benefit corporation, not a municipal agency, and the Civil Service Commission is now recognized and is waiving based on that requirement. And I'm going to be honest with you, I feel like there is a serious potential to just use this resolution subjectively. I'm very uncomfortable with it. I feel that this is going to be used based on the position and the individual. This is not about, because if we were seriously concerned about having people who lived in the city, it would be applicable across the board, not just to certain individuals in certain positions.
Excuse me.
Well, you want to talk? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm speaking in favor, of this resolution. I couldn't say any better than President Briggs that this resolution is intended to provide preference to the city of Niagara Falls residents prior to the change in the Civil Service Commission rules. You had to be a resident to sit for the exam. That rule in and of itself gave preference to the civil servants that want to work for the city of Niagara Falls. Now, all this resolution does, it still gives preference to Niagara Falls residents if they take the test and they become qualified for that position. We're only dealing with those same type of positions that would have applied at the go down to the commission and take a test. So this is not requiring anybody to live in the city, although I still support that, but just we're not going to deal with that right now, and I'm fine with that. But for now, this resolution just deals with the hiring process for those civil servants. When there is a Niagara Falls resident on that list, we prefer to select them. And that's all and that's all this resolution means.
I agree with Mr. Dean, but what worries me about is trying to police moving back. Trying to police that and always worrying about it. Who's doing what, where. Once they pass the test, we allow them to live anywhere. Or unless you're not civil service, then you could live anywhere. I just don't know if we lose good candidates if you have them forced. Go ahead.
We
Bob.
would be losing good candidates if we didn't allow people living outside to take the test. Then absolutely. I mean, if there's someone living a mere 2 miles away, south here on Grand Island on West River Parkway, and we said you can't take a test because you don't live in the city, that would really be. But as far as living in the city, I mean, I was required to live in the city. I was a Niagara Falls city councilman, and then I was a city department head, 3 different departments. I mean, I'm a state pension retiree recipient. My daughter is a teacher here, 14 years. She teaches at Blaneva Bond Learning Center, the former Niagara Street School. There's no penalty to live in the city. And we talk about building our city. You build your city with owner occupancy homes. Now we have a housing stock in Niagara Falls far greater than we need. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, we have basically, with the reincarnation of the Love Canal back in the 1990s, redoing all those homes, almost the same amount of homes that we had back when I was a kid. I mean, I can go down my street, 700 and 800 blocks of 16th Street. There's not one house missing from time I was there. Going back to when my dad built the house in 1932, 33, whenever he built the house. But when you go through your neighborhoods, if you look at any HUD report, and that was in community development banking, owner occupancy neighborhoods have the highest valuation, and they're caused by people buying homes. They are far more aesthetic because people take care of their homes. There's more of a pride of ownership. And, you know, when you look at the school district, and my daughter obviously lives in the city of Niagara Falls, when you look at the housing authority, when you look at the city of Niagara Falls, if you take that mix out, you will, with one swipe of the pen, destroy the housing and real estate values of the city of Niagara Falls. I absolutely am absolutely positive of that. When you look at even your higher ticket sales or out where I live, and don't forget, when somebody buys a $350,000 house in DeVoe, they're probably selling their $150,000 house to someone. And then there's another sale on the end of it of someone buying a house for the person buying that house. Sometimes these can be 3 or 4 Robin deals. I know that from being in mortgage banking. And we talk about building our city, and the only way you build your city is to start building with quality housing. That's why the Renee, was it Hope 6 project
Yes. Hope
that was
so.
built? You don't have quality neighborhoods without having quality housing. I made that statement to HUD in Buffalo when we were going through that back in the early 2000s. And without owner occupied neighborhoods, you're not going to have quality housing. I guarantee. You go to any neighborhood, I don't care what city you go to, okay? When you look at your values and you have people living there, it's a better neighborhood to live in. I don't think anybody, whether you agree with this resolution or not, I don't think anybody could disagree with what I just said. But we're the leaders here. We're no different than the city council. We're no different than the housing authority. We're the school board. My son-in-law, Brad McLeod, who is a member of the Niagara Falls Board of Education, I have this all the time. We have this every time we sit down. And he even understands, he gets it. Because I said to him, I mean, if you want to look at the record, would you have bought your $310,000 house on Rankin Road if Raquel didn't have to live in the city? And the answer is no. That's simple. It's that simple. But whatever you vote, I respect it. It's one thing about me. I'm not going to demean someone for the way they think, as long as they present what they do in a professional manner.
Okay,
So go out and have a beer.
roll call. It was a motion, right?
That's got to be second.
Yeah, I don't think that there was a motion in a second yet.
Who made the I didn't even know.
I'm going to make the motion to adopt the resolution.
Is there a second? I'll second it. It's the resolution. That's what we talked about last time.
Yeah.
But we'll proceed to vote and see what happens.
Board Member Aversa,
I respectfully vote no.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
I vote no.
Chairman Siriani.
Yes.
Motion passes. The next resolution is found in the packet beginning at page 53. Resolution number 2024-12002, repair of wastewater treatment plant intermediate pump motor rectifier wheel.
I make a motion.
Is there a second?
No second.
Open for discussion?
Yeah, I just got one question. Is this is the funds for this being obligated with 2024 funds? Or is 2025 funds going to pay for this?
It's not coming out of the annual operating budget. It's coming out of our capital funds. So it'll be paid in 2025.
Okay, so
But
it's
those
money
funds are
from,
not
from
budgeted on an
24
annual
gets
basis. They're
transferred.
Sort of a pool.
okay. All right, thank you.
Roll call?
Board Member Aversa,
Yes.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes.
Chairman Siriani.
Yes.
Motion passes. The next resolution is found beginning at page 55 of the agenda packet. Resolution number 2024-12003, 2024 Annual Review of Mission Statement, Adoption of and Report on Performance Measurements, and Report on Operations and Accomplishments.
Move it.
Second.
Roll call or any questions on it? Roll call.
Board Member Aversa,
Yes.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes.
Chairman Siriani.
Yes.
Motion passes. The next resolution is found beginning at page 59 of the packet. Resolution number 2024-12004, Annual Review of Procurement and Investment Policies.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Jim, is there a second?
I will second it.
Ralph, any discussion on it? Proceed to vote. Sean, roll call.
Board Member Aversa,
Yes.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes.
Chairman Siriani.
Yes.
Motion passes. The next resolution is found beginning at page 80 of the agenda packet. Resolution number 2024-12005, 2025 Water Board Meeting Schedule.
Is there a
What
motion?
page is it? I'm sorry.
Page 80, and the schedule's on page 81.
Motion.
50 to 80, I mean, yeah.
Jim
I'll make
made a
the
motion.
I'll
Is
make
there a
the motion.
second?
Second.
Ralph seconded. Any discussion on calendar?
I
Proceed.
actually have a question. We have quite a few months that we're not going to have, we're having one single meeting.
The calendar with holidays made it difficult to schedule meetings on the third and fourth Mondays. And in some cases, rearranging it to have both a work session and a business meeting in the month would have meant just a week in between, which rarely is enough time to have any substantive changes between the meetings. So yes, there are more months without scheduled work sessions than typical, just because of the way the calendar fell. The board can always schedule a work session or another business meeting, and public notice will be provided to the media if that is done. But this is just the set meeting schedule that's distributed to media on a sort of omnibus basis.
I got it. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? We'll proceed to vote. Sean, roll call.
Board Member Aversa,
Yes.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes.
Chairman Siriani.
Yes.
Motion passes. The next resolution is found beginning at page 82 of the agenda packet.
Motion.
Is there-
Resolution number 2024-12006, Lucity Software Support and Maintenance Renewal.
Is there a motion?
Yes. My apologies, Sean.
Yes.
Jim,
Motion.
Second.
Ralph seconded. Any discussion on it? Roll call, Sean.
Board Member Aversa,
Yes.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes.
Chairman Siriani.
Yes.
Motion passes. The final resolution in the packet is at page 84. Resolution number 2024-12007, adopting 2025 budget.
Is there a motion?
Move it.
I'll
Renee?
second it.
Ralph seconded. Any more discussion on it?
I have questions. for
Go
Mr.
ahead, Colleen.
Thank you. Okay, I just want to ask Mr. Costello a question, because we have eliminated 2 more director level positions as part of this budget. And we still don't have a general counsel, nor is there one in the budget, which is concerning on its own for segregation of duties, but that's another discussion. When you're out on vacation or you're using any of your crew time, or for any reason you have to be out for a length of time, who is going to be the acting executive director?
I don't know that an individual will be appointed as acting, but we will make sure that the chief operators have sufficient authority to make any procurements that are necessary, or Mr. Williamson or Mr. Smith if necessary.
Okay.
I'm almost never outside of cell phone reception.
I understand that, but again, you're on vacation, you're entitled to take your vacation and not be bothered with people asking lots of questions. And you never know when there's a situation in which you are going to need to be out, as you experienced already. So we want to make sure that there's coverage. This is concerning. So that's my main question.
Any more questions on the budget? Roll call, Sean?
Board Member Aversa,
Yes.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin.
So for me, I normally get excited about a 0% increase. And it's the last 7 years that I've been on the board. And that's always been the goal. We've always gone for zero minimal. And even in the years when we got surprised with some huge chemical costs and we had to increase, we had always, before that increase, we had been on target for minimal increases. And I definitely get board members' concerns that she addressed last week about wanting an increase in the heels of a generous union contract and the optics that would look like if we did any raise this time. But while this budget's balanced, I'm concerned about some of the gaps. I'm concerned about the capital expenditure line that could be an issue given our aging facilities. I think we're kicking the can down the road here with that. And I'm really concerned about the level to which we've cut our executive team down to the bare minimum. Plus, we don't have any money in there for raises for our directors. And while we set aside money this year to cover the wage increases, that was only for 2025. And this contract is going to be part of our legacy expenses. So I'm concerned about the fact that we're passing a 0% increase this year, knowing that it's not sustainable to continue to do that. And that we're looking at probably a 3% increase every single year going forward at minimum, depending on what the outside costs are. I don't want to be the person to vote no on this resolution that gives a 0% rate increase, but I have some serious reservations about it that need to be recorded. So reluctantly, I'm going to vote yes.
Yes. Well, first of all, the decision to go to 0% was not any conflict because of union negotiations. It's what Sean and Mike, well, Mike was part of the budget, but mostly Sean felt was necessary. We were in good shape to run the way we were doing because of the numbers of the chemicals in that went down. Okay. I understand your concern about in the future, but other than that, I vote yes.
Motion passes.
I want to, at this time, congratulate Sean and Mike Smith with Mike's help, but I know, Sean, you've been working a lot of hours on this budget also. So I want to congratulate you for a job well done, both of you.
Thank you. I think I have the only board that is encouraging me to raise rates. I don't think that that's ever happened before in the history of any municipal or public entity. But, you know, we will plan for both capital and operational expenses as the year goes on. Modest rate increases will be necessary. I mean, it's inevitable. Every cost increases, even that TriTech, the Lucity renewal. The renewal was $2,920 last year, and this year it's $2,999. And that's just a small example of the incremental creep that expenses just always seem to take. But this year, I don't feel that a rate increase was necessary in order to adequately fund our operations. And I would certainly prefer not to take more from our ratepayers than absolutely necessary. And if we're going to raise rates, to have a very good, well thought out and well explained case for why that's necessary for investment into the system. So thank you to the board for passing the budget.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Is there any unfinished or old business? Any new business and additional items for discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to be on record wishing everyone a very Merry Christmas. It's a celebration of a multitude of different heritages to the members of the Black community have a very merry and happy and successful Kwanzaa season. And of course, to my beautiful wife, who's Jewish, and my son and daughter-in-law, who are raising my grandson Jewish in New York, happy Hanukkah. And I hope we're all back here in the first of the year. And we have a healthful, a very happy holiday season. And let's move into 2025 on the right note. And I don't know if I'm going to be here or not. I don't know what the mayor has in store for me. He hasn't told me yet. But sometimes I feel like what's his name, Clay Holmes from the Yankees. You know, you can. But it's been a pleasure, and I'm sure I'll be here for a while anyway. But best wishes to all.
Well,
I'll second that motion.
yeah, I echo your words. I'm afraid to give you a thumbs up sign. Mayor might do the opposite of what I want. But with that being said, I can tell you, we hope you're here because you're honest, you're cool, calm, collective, and you put a different spin on it than some of us.
Thank you. Thank you.
we
Everybody's
appreciate
opinion
that.
should be respected all the time.
Okay, is there a motion that anyone have?
I would like to just say, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah to each and every one of you. And of course, for individuals, anybody can celebrate Kwanzaa, just to let you know. You don't have to be African American.
That's
to
right.
Celebrate Kwanzaa. So, happy Kwanzaa for individuals. And I would just like to say, Ralph, I thank you for your expertise, being that you used to be in charge of this facility. So, you know, you bring a lot to the table. So I thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Any more comments?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Yep. Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
happy holidays to all. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll
So
move
moved.
it. Renee gets first.
I think we all want to move it.
Renee made the motion. I think Colleen seconded. Is
Yeah.
there any discussion on it? First, roll call.
Board Member Aversa,
Yes.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin.
Yeah.
Chairman Sirianni.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
For the purpose of the recording, the time is 5:52 PM. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
We'll be back.